Hi, thank you for visiting my RC channel. My name is Bill and I'm an RC radio control enthusiast, and I also do RC reviews. Thank you for joining me for this review of this Hawkeye Firefly Split 4K WDR DVR FPV mini camera, supplied courtesy of Geekbuying.com to review and share with you. Comes in this box or sleeve, in this plastic box, and in here we get these decals in Mandarin, if you understand Mandarin. We get this instruction booklet, a little bit small on the eye to read, in English and Mandarin. And this is the Hawkeye Firefly Split. So this can be used as an FPV camera and an action camera, or just as an action camera. Comes with a single board that can fit onto a 30mm by 30mm stack on a racing or freestyle quadcopter drone, but due to the size is limited to fit onto smaller stacks. Now this records video 4K at 30 frames per second, 1080p at 120 frames per second, 2.7K at 60 frames per second, or 720p at 240 frames per second. Has low latency, only 0.04 seconds. Wide dynamic range to adjust for lighting. Also has a 3-axis gyro for better stability and to reduce or eliminate distortion, and also repairs corrupt files. So if the file is corrupted, all you need to do is put the micro SD card back in here, power it on, power it off again, and that should repair the files, which is great, because nothing more disappointing than getting the footage and then ending up with a corrupt file. This is a little microphone you can see on the top here, and then we get this FPC cable and ribbon. It's a fairly common cable and ribbon, so it should be easy to replace. This one has also been reinforced and protected. This takes a maximum 128 gigabyte micro SD card, and preferably class 10 U3 class. Got a micro USB port here, and this port over here. This is NTSC and PAL compatible, and has a 16:9 aspect ratio. The power input can be a 2 up to 6 cell LiPo battery, and you can also get a 3D printed mount for this. And here's a picture, and I'll also put a link in the description. Now the first thing that is recommended is to update the firmware. So if you go to this website, you can go to this page, and download the firmware from here, and I'll put a link in the description for this too. And as you can see, it gives you the instructions on how to do it. Quite simple. Put the bin file onto a formatted micro SD card, preferably 8 or 16 gigabytes. Put it into the slot here, power the camera on, and then it will update. In the box too, we get this OSD menu board that plugs into the 2-pin here. We get 2 sets of 6-pin plug cables, and the 6-pin plug plugs in over here. And we've got ground, positive for power, yellow for video, a blue wire, a white wire, and a green wire. Also get a little mounting bracket and a clip. This goes onto here, and this will help secure the SD card and also prevent the SD card from popping out. Let's have a look at the weights. This only weighs 23 grams. So the racing quad that I've got that can take a 30mm stack, unfortunately has got a damaged VTX and arm. So I won't be mounting this on a racer, but I will mount it on an SJRC F11 quadcopter and see how it performs as an action camera. 2 buttons on the side here. This one's a power and an OK button if you press it, and this one is the mode button. And this little port here is actually a small HDMI port. So let me set it up and have a look at what our options are. Okay, so if I plug power in to the red and black wires here, we can see 2 lights come on, and this button on the left here facing the front is an on and off button. So if I actually press and hold it, and release it, the power goes off. I can power it on again like this. Now this button over here is the mode button. So if we've got 2 lights on, this is going to record 4K at 30 frames per second. But if I press and hold the mode button, the blue light goes off and we've only got the 1 light, the red light, and this will record at 2.7K at 60 frames per second. I press and hold the mode button again. Both lights go off, and this will record at 1080p at 120 frames per second. If I press and hold the mode button again, only the 1 light comes on, the blue light, and this will record at 1080p at 60 frames per second. So I press and hold back here. Going to go back and leave it to record 4K at 30 frames per second. I'm just going to power off for now. Then if you want to go with FPV, you just need to connect this yellow wire to the video in. This blue wire is for a voltage sensor, and this green and white wire are for 2 triggers. So you can get a cable like this that you can also connect up, and these 2 wires are trigger wires for a trigger switch. You can set up a 3-way switch on your radio control transmitter, and also take pictures and video using a switch. So while I've still got the battery plugged in, I've got the latest firmware bin file on the card here, so I'm going to put an SD card in. Going to disconnect here and reconnect. Okay, we can see that blue light flashing while it's upgrading the firmware. Now it's gone solid, and that seems to be upgraded. So if I disconnect power again now, remove this SD card and put a bigger and better SD card in. Connect power again. Go to the mode button. Put it on 2 lights. Take the cap off. And just do a test to see if it's recording video in 4K at 30 frames per second. And to power it off, so good thing I checked, because it didn't come out well. The files were also corrupted, so I tried a few more times and it kept sort of stopping and the lights went off and then came back on again, and I had multiple files. So I put a properly formatted U3 class SD card in, and now it seems to be working fine. So I strongly recommend you use a U3 class 10 minimum SD card. So now let me put it on the quadcopter drone and take it for a flight. Got the Hawkeye Firefly split mounted on top of the SJRC F11 quadcopter drone. Let's go and get some video. So I got some footage in 4K in windy conditions. So don't expect the gyro to compensate for the quadcopter itself rocking around. But to be able to watch this properly, you can watch this by clicking on the box that comes up here, or click on the link in the description.